Hey YouTube, Amazing Libertarian here. This is going to be the first video, or the second video really, in the series about homosexuality in the Bible, and proving that the Bible does not condemn homosexuality in any way. I will not be using any secular arguments against homosexuality. It's all going to be biblically based refutation of the common arguments against homosexuality using Bible verses. So in this video, I'm going to be addressing the two passages I came across in the Bible that people use to condemn homosexuality. The first one is going to be Genesis 2:21 through 25, and the second is going to be Genesis 19:1 through 14, which is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Genesis 2:21 through 25. It states, "So the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and while he slept took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man he made into a woman, and brought her to the man. Then the man said, This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked, and they were not ashamed." The basic argument that Christians use against gay marriage with this verse, and this one is against, this verse is used against gay marriage not being gay in general, but specifically gay marriage by Christians, because it says that a man should go with and get a wife. However, the verse doesn't mention gay marriage. The verse doesn't condemn gay marriage in any way. All it says is that a man should take for himself a wife. But if you're going to apply that and say, therefore a man should not take another man and a woman should not take another woman, well then don't you have to also apply it and say, if a man does not get married, that is also a sin, in the same way that if he gets married in the incorrect way, according to this verse, that it is a sin? This verse is simply stating that it's beneficial that a man marry a woman. And to give you some background on this verse, back in those times you had the Israelites, not necessarily the Israelites, but the people who believed in the God of the Bible. Oh, well, the Bible wasn't written yet, but these people who believed in this religion that had been passed down, and they needed to reproduce in that time. They needed man and woman relationships. They needed reproduction. It would help spread the religion, and it would help keep their religion going. So that could be one of the main reasons that this verse is written in such a way and interpreted in such a way. But it doesn't condemn gay marriage in any way. It doesn't condemn not marrying. It just says that it's a good idea to get married to a woman. And truthfully, I have no problems. I mean, it is a good idea for a man to get married to a woman, even if you are gay, because if you do get married to a woman, you're going to be more socially accepted. So even in that case, the Bible is saying it's a good idea, which it is. So that's my refutation of that verse. Then story of Sodom and Gomorrah, Genesis 19, 1 through 14. Let me get there really quick. Alright. "The two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and bowed himself with his face to the earth, and said, My lords, please turn aside to your servant's house, and spend the night, and wash your feet. Then you may rise up early and go on your way. They said, No, we will spend the night in the town square. But he pressed them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered the house. And he made them a feast, and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them. Lot went out to the men at the entrance, shut the door after him, and said, I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known any man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof. But they said, Stand back. And they said, This fellow came to sojourn, and he has become the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. Then they pressed hard against the man Lot, and drew near to break the door down. But the men reached out their hands, and brought Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the entrance of the house, both small and great, so they wore themselves out, groping for the door. Then the men said to Lot, Have you anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city? Bring them out of this place, for we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against its people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law, who were to marry his daughters, Up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city. But he seemed to his sons-in-law to be jesting. So this verse is basically talking about how the men in the city want to have sex with the angels who were staying in Lot's house. And then Lot says, no, don't do these wicked things to people, to these angels who are staying in my house. And this is the verse that Christians connect to Christianity, or to Christians connect to homosexuality. They say, well, Lot is telling them that this is wicked, therefore he's telling them that the homosexual acts they're going to do is wicked. But there's really many explanations for why Lot would say, don't do these wicked acts to these men. First off, one of the explanations could be that they could have been, the men in the city, this could have just been about power, about showing that they were in charge. They wanted to take those men and show them, we're in charge, you're not in charge here. It could be a whole power thing. It's not even that they were gay. I mean, is the entire city going to be gay? It said the entire city surrounded the house and wanted to do these things. I doubt the entire city was gay. But all the city could have wanted to show that, they were in charge in the city. They were powerful, and that these men couldn't just come in here and, try to preach them or whatever these men may have wanted to do. It doesn't give us a lot of background on that until later when it says they wanted to destroy the city for God. Another explanation could be that the sin condemned here is actually rape. Straight or gay, rape is wrong. I think we can all agree with that. And what they were proposing to do was rape these men. So obviously it would be wrong whether these were women. It would still be wrong. As Lot suggested, to give his daughters out to them. That would still be rape and still be wrong. The third explanation could be that the sin condemned is simply sex with an angel. Because we have to remember, these weren't just men they were proposing to have sex with. It was angels. So it could be condemning a human-to-angel relationship. The fourth sin it could be condemning is simply that it would be poor hospitality if Lot were to allow these men to rape his visitors, his guests in his house. So the Bible really isn't specific here on what sin Lot is saying is wicked. It provides many, many options for what it could possibly be condemning. And personally, I think the best explanation is that rape is wrong. I think it's just showing, don't rape people. But anyway, and then the Bible clarifies later on in Ezekiel 16, 48 to 49, it states, sorry, wrong page. As I live, declares the Lord God, your sister Sodom and her daughters have not done as you and your daughters have done. Behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, excess of food, and prosperous ease, but did not aid the poor and needy. Doesn't say anything about homosexuality in these passages at all. It clarifies that the sins were that they were greedy, they did not help the needy. I just rhymed. They didn't help the poor, they didn't help the people who were in need for these things. So, they were proud. It's clarifying that what the sins were that got them in trouble, and I think it's clarifying so that people don't make these mistakes in the future. I think that's what the Bible is trying to state is, hey, here, we didn't make it specific enough what these sins were in the original passage, so let's clarify, here's what not to do in the future because it got Sodom destroyed. So there's my refutation to Genesis 2:21 through 25, and Genesis 19:1 through 14, the story of Sodom. And I also used Ezekiel 16:48 to 49. If you want to look up any of these verses, go ahead. I read them in ESV version, so if your version is slightly different, that's probably why. These are the two passages I found in Genesis that I thought might have applied to homosexuality. If you see any more that you think condemn homosexuality, post them in the comments. Whether you agree with the verses or not, whether you're an atheist or a Christian, post them in the comments because I'm always up for refuting them. And if you have any responses to these passages that I refuted, go ahead and post them in comments, PM them to me, or post a video response, and I'll respond to all comments, personal messages, and video responses personally. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video in the series refuting biblical arguments against homosexuality.